Really, I mean, Dune was a fairly interesting and compelling science fiction novel that David Lynch warped into a fantastical, morass of this, of these worlds, and he made it much more interesting. Blue Velvet, of course, we went off the charts then in terms of strength, and it's from there. I was talking earlier to a journalist, and for the first time I said, or I thought, I get cast, I think, primarily from what people have seen me do. In other words, not so much, oh, we're meeting actors and Kyle comes in and he reads and da-da-da. So I've already sort of established this strange persona from Blue Velvet and from The Hidden and from Twin Peaks. And so people then see that. Those are the things that most people saw. Some of the other work that I've done, if it doesn't get seen, no one really, you're not going to hire me from that, People see that and they go, okay, so this thing just perpetuates itself. Not that I'm complaining, mind you. I mean, I like playing these kind of characters. I like giving Orson a little bit of mystery and darkness, and you don't really know where he's coming from, and the same with Trey, as much as you can on television. But I don't know, those worlds are compelling. There's more possible because it's unspoken. And if you don't completely explain something, then it keeps it open. I like keeping things open, I guess.
Okay, ready?
Rebecca, another Hollywood reporter.
Rebecca, where are you? Oh, there you go. Sorry.
I was wondering what you can tell us about the upcoming season. I know we're all dying to know who might actually marry and how that will affect your character.
Right. All the men die, and except for me. And I don't have a real sense, because I haven't spoken to Mark about it, about what the plan is for season 6. At the end of season 5, they brought, within my little storyline, they brought back Richard Burgi from the early first season. And he is now sort of having a little tete-a-tete with Bree, with Marcia. And she's going through this divorce from me. So they're setting up, obviously, like, sort of this competitive little triangle. Where that will go and what they have in store, I don't really know. But I'm excited about the dynamic of that. Richard's a great guy, and he's got a terrific energy with Marcia, I think. So it's going to be great to see how the three work itself out. Other than that, I don't really know. You haven't told me. I can make some stuff up.
Hi, Santi Costantino, the publicist for Italian Rai Television and Journals. One question. After a strange role like Orson Hodge and Dale Cooper, you dream a role like romantic hero?
I tried romantic hero. It doesn't work for me. I don't know why it doesn't work for me.
Yeah. Why?
I don't know why. I did a film with Bruce Beresford last year about this time in Australia, where it was a real story called Mao's Last Dance, based on a book. And I played an immigration lawyer who has, it's a very nice story. It's about a Chinese dancer who comes to America and wants to stay. It's more than that, but that's what it makes it story. Anyway, and I went down to meet the actual person, and I got to play a real guy. He's from Houston, Texas. He's a lawyer, very smart lawyer. And I got to meet his family, and I was like, that's pretty exciting. And he's not weird, So we'll see how it goes. If it's successful, then maybe there's hope for me. If not, then I guess I'll stay in that. It's weird.
Okay, right here.
Hello, I'm Katrin from Finland. I'm just asking, everywhere you go, there's going to happen all those odd things, like in Twin Peaks and Desperate Housewives. So, Desperate Housewives is going very to odd direction. It's like everything odd is happening.
Right.
So what do you think about that, and what do you think about that you will get all those weird roles?
Well, I guess someone has to do it. it is it's one of the great pleasures of working on a show that has such a creative genius behind it, Mark Cherry. You may not necessarily, I'm speaking for myself, I may not necessarily always agree with what he has in store for the characters and what happens, but it's always going to be interesting, and it's always going to be challenging. How weird he decides to make it remains to be seen. I mean, I think one of the brilliant things about Desperate Housewives is that it's always a tick or two away from reality, and he's been able to keep that without sort of falling off the ledge, you know, which is easy to do, and without getting boring. I mean, sometimes it's sort of like, okay, let's move on from this, but you know that it will, which is a great thing. You know that it's always going to, it will always continue to change, and it is also one of the things about Mark Cherry that I think is one of his greatest abilities is that he listens, watches, and will make a change, will shift something if he finds that it's not working. He doesn't feel like he has to stay with the same thing because, oh my God, he doesn't know what to do, or he's hoping that it might work. It's like, no, if it's not working, he recognizes it and he will shift it. Now, you know, when he decides to do that is up to him, but it's one of his geniuses.
Okay, there's a question here in the second row.
Oui, bonjour. Donc malgré l'évolution que vous décriviez précédemment, Orson c'est quand même l'un des personnages les plus glaçants des Desperate Housewives. Est-ce que vous parvenez à ressentir de la tendresse, de la sympathie pour lui? Et deuxième question, je voulais savoir à la base pourquoi il a épousé Brie. Est-ce que c'était par amour ou est-ce que c'était par volonté de se réhabiliter socialement, d'avoir une vitrine, enfin, quel était le moteur de ce couple à la base?
I didn't understand.
So the first part, Orson's such an icy character. Is there any tenderness really inside of him? And second question, why exactly did he marry Brie? Was it out of love or out of self-interest?
The old icy thing. I think that they have actually great love for each other. I think it's a little different than traditional, but I think that ultimately they have met the match, or they've met who they should be with. They've met their, what's the word, significant partner, whatever it is. And you know, the Orson iciness is, there's an austereness that's there, I think, with them, and a slight discomfort with all things emotional, which is really nice to have as position A, because position B is then watching that melt a little bit and watching the warmth and the generosity of spirit and the love come through. But then you don't want to have all that, so then you want to close it back up again with a little bit more of the austerity. That's interesting, sort of the dynamic of that, and hopefully one doesn't become too much, you know, vice versa. To the second part of the question.